stones are dry. The wind has shifted. The mountain waits. Oh, puckernuts. Some legends take longer to form.
Way to go, fat boy.
Ouch.
We all miss a stone now and then.
Okay, as you can see now, I'll just give you a close-up. This is actually what the Dwarven Forge material looks like when you first get it. Here we have the result of the gray Seer primer on this. I'm going to start with some Lemian medium and some Nuln oil. And I'm going to go a 1-to-1 on these. And really, to be honest with you, we're just going to wash this, splatter it on and stuff. But like I say, make sure you get it down in the recesses. And so don't let it pool and glop too much. Just kind of keep brushing with it. I'm just using this is actually a dry brush, but I'm using it. And I need to get a little thing to put these on so I'm not fingering it away. So I'll try to keep this front and center. I'm new at this. I've never had to do this before, so this is my first time at any kind of paint tutorial. I need to get one of those paint holders or miniature holders. I keep seeing them down at workshop, and I see all of them do that, and I have just used the base. But like I say, this is something you guys, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. This is, I mean, you can tell if Zippy here can do it. Anybody can do it. Easy. Alright, I've got some Agrax Earthshade, and really we're just going to put this on in a few spots just to add some variety, some variation is how it calls it. So, and just kind of stipple it on in a few places and stuff. Just, I'm not trying to be real neat and stuff, just a few. And, because it's just the idea of not all stone is the same color. And I'm not trying to be real neat here, because, like I say again, we'll go over it a little bit with some. Hal suggested to do the same thing with some Draken Show Nightshade. I don't know. Hal's been pretty good with things before, but we'll see. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, those should be dry. Okay, and I'm not painting the sides of them, to be honest with you, that much, because it's like most of them, these stones, these rocks, you're going to put them together. I guess if I need to later on, if there's some edges, I can always do that, but you don't need to wash that, because now comes the scary part, is the dry brushing. And this you can do really broad strokes, because you don't need to be precise, because stone doesn't weather normal. So Hal suggests using Dawn stone, and I'm going to dry brush. You kind of get some on you, and then you just kind of get most of it back off and stuff, because really you don't want a heavy, I think most of you understand what dry brushing is. If not, what you're going to do is, we'll just start with this one, is we're just going to just lightly, just kind of basically dull it down just a little bit, stuff. And again, just carefully. You don't want it to be heavy, because you don't want to obscure too much, which you've already done. You want to just kind of just lightly. And if you sometimes when you first come on, that's why I always get a little nervous about this, because you can get a little heavy on it if you're not careful. But that'll kind of help mute some of that and make it a little bit more worn and stuff. And it's like, see, you just kind of want it to be a little, so it mutes some of what you've done and makes it look a little bit more weathered and natural. And that way, if you feel like, I got a little too heavy with that, that's okay. If you get a little too heavy with this, we can always go back in. There are no permanent mistakes with paint. And then we're going to let that dry and settle, because you don't want to. We're going to put some more highlights on it just a bit, because you don't want to dry brush immediately unless you're kind of blending some stuff. That's a little bit different. But we're going to let this settle for just a bit, and then always be careful with that spill. Then always wash your, especially with dry brushes. You always want to make sure your stuff is, get some of that soap stuff, and just kind of get it wet. See how that will knock that off. And especially when you're dry brushing, I guess I should have rinsed it a little bit more. Get here, clean that out of there. It's the last thing it's hard on your dry brush anyway. That's the last thing you want to do is. Next, we're going to do some Administratium Gray. Now, this is going to be just some light highlights. Nothing as heavy as what we did before. You just want just the ridges. Oh, that was close. That was so close. That happened so fast. We caught the paint before it went anywhere. Okay, now this sounds weird, but we're going to use just a little bit of the Screaming Skull just to kiss it. It is over here. We're going to I just want to kiss these things. Okay. And that's all we're doing, just kissing. Kissing, not too much, just lightly. Lightly. Now this next one, it's up to you. The Citadel has this stuff called it's called typhus corrosion and stuff, and you might just kind of use some of this just dab it down into some of these little rocks here to kind of just show just like a weathered stuff. I'm not going to do it to all of them, but you could do something like that and just water it down a little bit. It gives you an idea of something you could do. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. See how that kind of gives that effect, that there's something growing down there. Now, Hal also has a recommendation for some colors in this for if there's lichen or moss. But since there's no lichen or moss on any of these things, I'll save that for another step. Now for this last step, I took some Seraphim Sepia Hal suggested, and I watered it down, and he says it's like just cracks. And some of you guys that are better with freehand, I probably shouldn't do this because I'll probably screw this up. Just go in and just water it down. You don't want to do this very often, very, very much. A cracked look, and I kind of see it, but that may be a little bit beyond my skill, and I'm going to be honest with you. And also too, let me take this moment just to say, hey, I am always interested. If somebody out there who knows what they're doing, I am completely open to these kinds of suggestions and tips. There we have it. They look not bad. So let's go place them. All right. You ready, Hal? All right. Huh?
Is that it?
Oh, almost forgot. the water effect that I put on last night. It gives it a shimmering reality. Huh?
I try not to be disappointed.
What? Well, I told you it's gonna take a while. I gotta wait for Dwarven Forge to send more points. Don't complain to me. Come on, seriously? Besides, I've been painting all day. Give me a freaking break. Meh.
The second tier of the foundation was not forged in haste, but in reflection. Each stone placed by hand and hammer bore the weight not just of the fortress, but of memory. These were the same stones once quarried from the bones of Carak Peak, their dust clinging to the boots of masons long forgotten. It is said the ancestor spirits walked unseen among the builders, watching each step with silent approval or subtle disdain. When a stone was mislaid or a block left bare, it was not punishment that followed, but something far worse. The quiet judgment of those who had built stone before. A whisper in the hall, a chill in the forge, a voice from a lens. Yet with each stone laid true, Barak-Karandul grew not just in height, but in purpose. For the mountain does not rise overnight. It grows with every stubborn, imperfect, beautiful effort.